Okay, guys, if you missed the sales meeting today, we went over some really cool stuff. And I think one of the big takeaways from today's meeting was using Realtracs to pull a Cloud CMA, which, in my opinion, is a very polished and professional way to share a CMA report with a potential or prospective listing client. It gives you the ability to share that either as a PDF or as a live link that they can interact with. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So let's go ahead and pull up our Realtracs link, guys, and we're going to start by pulling some data. I'm going to move really quickly because I want to keep this video short, 5 to 10 minutes long. That way you can get the meat out of it and move on about your day. So start by pulling data just like you would for any other CMA, and we're going to use a real listing that we have over here off of Long Hollow Pike. How you pull comps might be completely different, but what we're trying to do is get a data set that so I can demonstrate how to use this tool. So we do want to make sure that we're capturing closed data, and it's not always a bad idea to share under contract um, data as well. So let's go ahead and grab all of that. We're going to be a little bit specific with our listing data. So we're trying to find comparable properties here. So we're going to narrow this down to a range of properties. And let's see what we get. Okay, I didn't mean to do the expired data, so we're going to take that and change that. Okay, great. This gave me a little bit of data to look at. We've got 6 listings here, and we're going to go ahead and go to the 3 dots. So normally you would do this and click CMA, but this time I want you to go to Cloud CMA and click on that. Okay, so as this pulls up, we're going to go ahead and title it. We're just going to call this Test CMA. I think you should put the client's name in there too. And then you want to put the prospective listing address information in there. Make sure all this is correct. If you don't have a photo, go to Google Maps or pull it off the tax record or whatever and upload that here. I think it just makes the report look that much more professional and clean. And then this is going to be a list of the MLS numbers that you pulled in from the MLS. You could manually update these, but I think that's the worst way to do it. And then it gives you an option to pull a search a different way here. We're done. We're going to click Fetch Listings. Okay, so this populates a map and it shows where our prospective property is, and then it shows all of our CMA data on the map here. If you had something that populated on this list that didn't make sense or wasn't a good comp, which might be this Willow Bend, this is definitely going to be the high end of this area. I think we're going to go ahead and pull this one out because I know this listing intimately, and this isn't a good comp for us. So we're going to drop that off the list. And you'll notice as I toggle this on and off, this data over here is going to actively change. So that drives that average down, 20,000-ish, which can be a big difference for what's going on in the market. So we're going to click Customize Report, and this next page is going to be a list of the possible items that you could include in this report. We're not going to go over each one of these, but if you would, at your own time, click these plus signs and take a look at what these do and what value these add to this report. This is where they're going to populate. Anything on this section will actually end up in the report. You've got automatically title page, map of listings, summary of comparable properties. And this is really important because this is going to show you, basically like that Realtracs CMA type layout. And we want to take a look at the details page. So this is what your property is going to populate like if you leave it as default. So we can change that by clicking in the layout, and we had the map photo selected. That's really good for something that you're not printing out in paper. If you want to save some space and you're going to print it out, I might recommend that you use the 4-column comparison. And let's take a look at what that looks like. So that's just going to put more data on the screen, and it's going to save you some paper in the long run. So either way is fine. For the sake of this demonstration, we're going to use that first one. And then this is going to show us the first dozen photos. Excuse me. So this is great so that potential sellers can see what their competition looks like and compare it to their own property. And then the only thing that I really edit here is this suggested list price tab. I'm going to go ahead and click edit. I recommend you use a price range. This house should sell somewhere between 600 and 700,000 based upon the market data. And then you can go in here and do a very truncated CMA, and we can add things like a mortgage payoff. We can add realtor fees. For the sake of this, it's 6%. And we might add something, we might prep them for title and closing. And that's between 2 and 4%. So let's just go in the middle and say 3%. So right off the bat, we can give them a range and a quick net sheet if we know some of this data. Let's go ahead and save that. And we're going to move on. So go ahead and look through these on your own, add them, preview them with this eyeball icon. And if you don't like them, you can pull them out. If you need to reorder anything, just click in this white space here until you get that crossed arrows, and you can drag things around and reorder them. And then if you need to customize the live CMA, you're going to do that here. This is my favorite part of this. So this live CMA is basically a digital version of the CMA that you can share with them via link, or if you're doing presentations like me, I'm taking my iPad and my computer with me and I'm casting this onto my iPad. I'm handing them the iPad. I'm going through this presentation. Or even better, where did it go? We can click this hamburger menu. Let's see, this is an out-of-town client. They're not available. I can send this to them via Zoom, Teams, Skype, screen sharing, or Hangout, and start a meeting, and I can go over this over a Zoom meeting and show this to them that way. I think that's super cool too. And then we can customize this by clicking this Customize tab. The I means it's on, the crossed out I means it's off. There's some really neat stuff in here that you can turn off and on, just depending on what you need. You can make it what you want. So we're just going to go through this like we're presenting it to a client. I'm going to go very quickly, guys. You really need to dive into this and make it your own. But this is kind of what we're using right now. So we start out with our agent resume. Move this out of the way here. And then if you want, you can use this pin icon. I don't need to highlight this during the meeting, but if I wanted to circle things with this pin, I could talk about the company. Don't have to do this. I could talk about what a CMA is. It's kind of a canned definition of the CMA. A video about what the MLS is. I think that's super important so consumers know what happens when we put their house on the MLS. Comparable data. This is going to put everything side by side so that they can look at their property compared to everything that we're showing them in the comps. We can see the average pricing data. Again, we can use this pin and say, oh, well, this is the average right here. Here's this data, days on market. All of this stuff is really easy to consume and shows really well to the consumer and is easy to share. We've got our average list price information here with a little chart. The more data you have, the better picture it paints. This tells us about the average time to sell, 16 days on market at 97% of the list price. That's fantastic. Online valuation, this is, in true Zillow fashion, this is wildly inaccurate, so you might drop this page. It's saying the home should be worth $79,000. That is not correct. So we're just going to, we're going to remove that from our report. And then our suggested list price tool. So this is fantastic. So we get to this part, we're talking about price, and they want to start going over scenarios with you. You can use this slider to land anywhere inside of your recommended price rating, and it will automatically calculate their net based upon a different sales price. But you might be thinking, okay, what if we need to strategize repairs? No problem. Click on your edit button here, and we're going to add a new expense. And we're going to assign a value to it. It could either be a percent or a number. So let's say we negotiate 2% of the sales price in repairs, $13,000. We're going to save that. Nope, it's not wanting to cooperate. Okay, I just needed to click that add first. That one's on me. Okay, we're going to save it. And now we'll see that that repair item has ended here. And since we're using a percentage, that number is going to scale with the sales price. So that might be a better strategy. Use a fixed number. It doesn't matter. It's way too easy to edit. You can pump in different numbers here. You can do it based upon an exact price. And this calculator tool is going to shift with how you use it. So really cool. We're going to move on to an action plan. This is just a basic canned outline of what you might do as their realtor and some things that are going to happen in a 3-4 week timeline. This talks about intelligent pricing and timing, and just the short of it is homes priced 15% above the market are only getting 10% of the eyes. Homes priced 15% below the market get 90% of the eyes. So this is a good way for you to quantify why pricing homes correctly really makes an impact on visibility in the market, and it goes on to break that down in a description. I don't expect that you would read this to them, but this is something good that they can consume on their own, and you can send it to them and they can do that. You can share client testimonials here. You can turn that off and on in those toggles that I showed you. There's a listing paperwork overview. It just gives you kind of a rough outline of how the transaction might start. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Again, you can edit that over here in this Customize tab. We can turn things on and off however you want to. Play around with these and find out what's good for you. When you're done, click done, and that's it. So we've edited this CMA. Now that we're done, we've turned on and off what we want. We're going to go ahead and click publish. And you can do this after too. You don't have to do this first. It's going to take a minute to publish your CMA. And now you can either email this report, you can copy a PDF link, or you can copy the live link. And the reason I like the live link best is because it updates as you update this report, and it just creates a more interactive experience for the consumer to go through this information. So we can click the view live link button there on that CMA. It's going to take us right there. Now the consumer won't have the ability to edit this, but you will as the creator, and they'll be able to go through this presentation just like we just did. And it's going to be saved here on the main menu of your CMA. So this is our test CMA. We can see that that's been viewed 2 times. That was me clicking through it twice. We can view the PDF and share and print that from here if we want a printed copy. We can view that live link here if we want to, and start a presentation locally, or share a Zoom link or whatever you want to do there. Or we can copy that live link and email this report or text this report to our consumer, which is really how I'm using it if I'm not doing it locally. So very cool tool, guys. I feel like this is a much better presentation method than a printed copy. It will stay with them in their email. They can pop this up and open it, and you're going to be able to see how many times they get in and out of this. So I'm now going to have a 3 view count on this now that I've gotten into it again. So I'm going to get to see how many times that it has been seen. That's going to give you a pretty good indication of how often they're referencing it, maybe their seriousness as a buyer. But this is a fantastic tool, guys. This is the down and dirty how to get there, how to start it. I would recommend you jump into this report and you play around with the different options that you have and really use this in a way that benefits you and complements your presentation style and the way that you like to work with your clients. I hope that added value to you guys. I'm going to do another video showing you how to do a buyer tour, and then we're also going to do one more series this week that talks about how to search by drive time in the MLS. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.